I'm Vince Corzine, coming to you from Joya Productions Studio in New York. Let's review what happened during the first video. Let's listen to the first cut called Rhythmic Ostinato Pedal Point. Now I'm sure that you heard the rhythmic tear of force and the rhythm section really getting very strong in that ostinato pedal point. Now let's listen to the second example, which is contrasting theme syncopated above this. Now I'm sure you heard how that contrast was rhythm against rhythm against rhythm, and they didn't mesh, but they fit together because of polyrhythm, as we call it. Okay? Now let's go to see the next third cut will be the theme, the original form, the one that's too symmetrical, too predictable, and in my opinion, a little boring. I'm sure you heard that is something that I'm not really happy with. So I've got to do something to change it. Now I need some alteration for added interest. You'll notice that the two measure motives are a little too conventional sounding. Da 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 da. Now nobody wants to hear that more than once. Okay? Now let's look at something that's, how do great composers in the past, how did they treat their themes so it didn't have this symmetrical two motive all the way through? Mine was through. Let's look at Haydn, Mozart, Schubert, and Beethoven. There's a compositional technique called interversion. Now, interversion is where you switch measures to make something happen that didn't happen before. Now, in the fourth cut, we'll listen to the theme for the Unfinished Symphony by Franz Schubert. You'll notice in the Schubert piece, the Unfinished Symphony that you just heard, the measures 1 and 4 are similar in rhythm. Also notice that measures 2 and 3 are similar in rhythm. This is called interversion. It is a way of making something more interesting by switching the measures around. Let's listen to example 5. It's a German folk song scored for 3 woodwinds, and you'll notice that measures 1 and 4 and measures 2 and 3 are the same. The next example, example 6, is the theme from the New World Symphony by Antonin Dvorak. Notice that measures 2 and 3 are the same, measures 4 and 5 in measure 3 is augmentation. But measures 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 are the same, and 1 is augmentation. Here we go with Dvorak. I hope by now you're getting to see that you can take something like da 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 and switch it around. And I'm going to do that in a minute. Let's look at the next example 7. Joshua for the Battle of Jericho. It's scored for brass quartet. Notice that measures 2 and 3 have the same rhythm. Measure 4 is a repeat of measure 2 modified, and it's done, I arranged it in an imitative treatment. The next example 8 is applying the compositional technique of interversion to the Supernova theme. Remember the theme that I went da 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 da, that was very boring. Now I've got to do something with it to make it more interesting. Listen to it. Not only did I switch measures, but I also measure 6 is varied rhythmically for added interest. I put a dotted quarter and an eighth note. Now constant quarter notes are a little overbearing and very tedious to the ear. No one wants to hear a melody with all quarter notes in it. The result is a much more satisfying theme. Now, the composition begins in A minor. I felt A minor is good because I throw a lot of chromatics in. In minor, you can use a lot more chromatic things. And modulates up a minor third to C minor. A long piece of music should modulate, should grow, should develop more than a short piece of music. Now, a modulation is considered like a change of scenery in a play. It gives a lift to the piece. In part 3, I will show you how a composer can develop a theme in many different ways.